Good morning, church. Good morning. I say good morning, church. Good morning. Now, when I came here when I was 17 years old as a college freshman, the job description was minister of music, praise team, choir, never preacher. So I never had this in mind at all. But it seems God works in beautiful and mysterious ways. Is that all right? Yes. So I decided, while I was preparing for this, I was thinking, I've heard many preachers in my day. What kind of preacher voice did I want to go with? Should I go with the lectionary? All right, everyone, let's just turn to page Psalms 1. Or go old school, heavy statements in the mic. The Lord just said, take it easy, just be yourself, and we're just going to work it out. And so, the last week actually I had the opportunity to preach in New York. And I told the congregation, if I'm saying something and you're with me, say amen. And if you just want me to keep going, say preach it, pastor. But I think they got confused because I heard a lot more preach it, pastor than I did amen. So just go where the Spirit leads you. I just want to thank the entire church for having me. This is my home. I love you guys. I've been here since I was a single, no college having young kid. And now God has blessed me to have a master's. I've been able to travel the world thanks to your support. I'm married. I have a child on the way. I've literally gone from a board to a man in the church. This place is home to me. My choir, I love you guys. When I think of being in front of the choir, it's this way, not that way. Sorry. I want to thank Sister Paula for having me. Thank you so much. This was all her idea. She called me. She was like, listen, you need to preach, and I can never say no to her, so thank you. I thank you for my family and friends who come here to support me. So, all right. That's it. We're going to get into it. Is that okay? All right. Dear Heavenly Father, I ask you that you may speak to me, speak through me, speak for me, and I promise you all the honor and glory forever and evermore. Amen. A wonderful shepherd. An amazing musician, a gifted young man, blessed, strong, a valiant warrior, one of the greatest kings, cunning, bold, rich, wealthy, successful, on fire for God, Amen. A man after God's own heart. These are the many adjectives that are used to describe one of the most prominent figures in the Bible, King David. These are adjectives that we hope one day somebody would call upon us. We hope that someone would say we're on fire for God, that we are successful, that we're wealthy, that we are people after God's own heart. In fact, whenever you talk about Christ, you always mention the fact that this is Jesus Christ, born of the line of Judah, of David. He's one of those people that we know by first name basis. In fact, even in the secular world, whenever you have an underdog, you say it's going to be a David and Goliath match. He is the model for praise. We dance like David danced. He is the model for praise. We dance like David danced. And even if you look at musicians, after Satan, David is one of the the greatest and most inspirational musician in the Bible that you find. He was playing spirits out of people. So we have David the rock star, elusive, cunning, strong, a great speaker, a great poet. One of the books of the Bible is dedicated to him and him alone. An amazing songwriter, a warrior, musician, whole package. This is someone who, when his entire family was kidnapped while he was fighting a war, instead of rushing to go and handle the situation himself and chase after his family and go fight, the first thing he actually did was stop, pray, and ask God, Lord, what should I do? Now, I know sometimes we read the word and it seems like a fairy tale sometimes, but this is real things that happen to real people with real emotions. So you just have to imagine in your mind for a second that you've been working home all day, you come home, your house is ransacked, your children are gone, your spouse is missing. The first thing you're going to do is call the cops. If you have a piece, grab that piece, start finding everybody in the neighborhood to find out what happened. But that's not what David did. David stopped and said, Lord, what should I do? So that means that if God told David, do nothing, he was willing to not go after his own family when you could argue he was justified to do so. So my question is, how many of us here struggle not to respond to when people try us or when they say something crazy to us? Here we have David, whose family was taken from him, and he's asking God, what should I do? Yet when people say the wrong thing to us or look at us the wrong way, we're ready to pop off. So my thing is, we as human beings, we struggle with verbal offenses. Here we have a future king who was robbed of his family, robbed of his goods. And the first thing he says is, Lord, how do you want me to respond? And I think in there, right there, is something that we need to learn for ourselves, church. Amen. We're so ready to take our method of victory into our own hands and then thank God for it at the end. Meaning, you want Thanksgiving at your house so bad that after all the fussing, insulting two family-in-laws, creating a family grudge, and almost burning the turkey, you got your way. And then now during the prayer, you're saying, thank God for bringing us all together. When you clearly know it was your own will. God had nothing to do with that. Because see, when you're truly following God, He will let you know if the battle is even worth it. Yeah. And if it is, He'll let you know what your role is. See, maybe in your battle, you're going to be like David, where you need to take up a few pebbles and fling them at someone's forehead. Or maybe you're going to be like Moses, where all you have to do is just hold up your hands and wait until the battle's over. Or maybe you're going to be like Joshua, where you circle around that camp and you give praise to God until the victory is won. But either way, you don't know your role until you seek God. And when you seek God, you allow Him to guide your steps. Then you will know what your part is to play. And that way, when you seek God first, then He tells you to move. Because you have to understand, not every victory is a good one. There is something called a Pyrrhic victory. It comes from King Pyrrhus of Epirus, who defeated the Romans. And the problem was that he was fighting this war, fighting, he's winning. But at the end of the war, he lost all his best officers and the majority of his troops. So he won, but he lost so much it never felt like a win. See, that's the difference when God fights your battles. When you fight on your own, you end up with scars, bruises, losses, broken families, broken relationships. You even lose yourself at times. Sustaining losses you didn't even need. But when you let God do the fighting, when He's the one leading, the friends that you lose during that battle, they were friends that were blocking your blessing. The job that you thought you needed, it was just stopping you from having the finance and the time that you needed. The people and the validation you thought that you could not live without. God is showing you that only His approval is what matters. When God fights your battle, it will always be a flawless victory. You guys hear me today? And like it says in the Bible, any loss that you sustain for Christ is a gain. Because like the Bible says, right? What is it that I gain the whole world but lose? So that means anything that you're giving up for God is always going to be a gain for you. So when God is doing the leading and the fighting for you, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And so we learn that from David. And honestly, there is a lot to learn. So now the main question is, so where are you going with this? What are we doing? It's, how did this rock star for the Lord, who was such an example, who was doing everything right, writing songs, leading, fighting, loving, showing great character, how did this amazing man of God fall short after being right with God for so long? How did this pastor who had been serving, how did this first lady, how did this minister of music, the trustee, the choir director, the elder, the deacons, the usher, how did these men and women of God who have been faithful to God for so long slip up? Where did they go wrong? Amen. And the title of my sermon is, Where Did We Go Wrong? So let's find out. Now, one thing I like to do when I examine any situation is to understand what happened before. Because a lot of times when something happens, we're focusing, like if it's a fight at school, we're focusing on the fact that they fought. But what provoked the fight? What set that up? A lot of people are focused on the reaction, but you can't solve the reaction if you don't know the action. So if we go to the Bible, the story of Bathsheba takes place in 2 Samuel chapter 11. So let's see what's going on in 2 Samuel chapter 10. And so as we look into the book, it says that the king of the Ammonites has just died. His son has now become king. Now, the father that just died was someone who was extremely kind to David, so David decided that he would repay that kindness to his son, who is now king. That's the type of man David was. Your father was good to me, now your son has come up, I'm going to be nice to the son. So David sends his officers to console the son. Listen, we understand you lost your father, but I want you to know you have my full support. However, this young king has this circle. And sometimes as young people, it's like that sometimes. We have circles that are not the best for us. And let me not even say young people, it's all of us. You can have old fools and young fools. So this young king, he had a really bad circle around him. And so that circle told him, listen, king, David is only sending people to you so they can spy on the city and plan war. And so what they did is they took the messengers that David sent and they cut their beards and they tore their clothes. And now in that time, when you did that to the Israelites, because their beards was a sign of their faithfulness and their long service, so when you cut their beards, you were disrespecting and desecrating all that they stood for. So it's literally the equivalent of spitting in the king's face and cursing him. Now church, if you have any friends in your life who are encouraging you to go and disrespect kings, I seriously urge you to reevaluate your circle. If you have people in your circle who are comfortable with you disrespecting people where God has put them in that position, you need to reevaluate. And I'll keep on going. Understand, there is no leader that God has not placed in a certain position. Even the president we don't like.
All right.
Sometimes I have to talk to my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, because it's like we didn't read 5 or 6 chapters, books in the Bible, where you had bad king after bad king after bad king after bad king. But church, you're not going to know what a good king is if you don't have a bad one. You see, people love Barack even more because you have to deal with the Trump. So we sit here spending all our time upset that not everything is going our way, not understanding it's not supposed to. So if you have anybody around you that's encouraging you to lash out at any situation because it's not going your way, you need to reevaluate, because that ain't God speaking to you. And if you're not careful, the wrong people will influence you to go to war with the medium of your blessing. So what does that mean? There's so many words. I'm going to break it down. The medium of your blessing could be your gift. Let's say your gift is dancing. And that is what will be able to put food on your table and provide for your family, and that's how you minister. But you have someone who grew up and their association with dancing is not good. And all they've experienced when it comes to dancing is all things negative. So they come up to you and they tell you, never dance, never do it, it's wrong, God didn't approve of it. And instead of trusting God and saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to dance for the Lord like David, I'm going to listen to this person who tells me not to go forward in my gift. And because of that, now you start working at McDonald's your whole life, going from career to career that doesn't satisfy you because someone discouraged you from using your blessing. Maybe you were a speaker, but somebody in your life told you sound dumb and you stutter. And now you believe that you can never speak in front of nations, so the people that can be blessed by your gift are robbed because you chose to listen to the wrong people. Steve Harvey talks about in his life how when he was in school, he told the teacher, my goal in life is to be on TV. And she laughed at him and said, you're a fool. That'll never happen. Give me something realistic. But now today, Steve Harvey Morning Show, Steve Harvey Daytime Show, Steve Harvey Comedy Nighttime Show, the show with the kids and the talents. Literally, Steve Harvey's on TV all day long. And he's being blessed through the medium of his blessing. Imagine if you didn't listen. So, going back to David. David is pissed now, and the Ammonites decide to go to war. But not just one war, it's 2. So the first one, the people who started the beef decide to go and get help. So they create a big army. They stand at the city gates. Joab, who is David's commander, he has to divide his army in 2. One to fight the army on this side, one to fight the army on behind. And you know what? God is with them. They end up winning the war. So, the Ammonites, they leave. No problem. However, they had hired the Arameans to help them out. Arameans. So now the Arameans are upset because they just lost. So now what they decide to do is get another gang and a big army. And now this time, David has to gather all of Israel together, cross River Jordan, and now send an army running to defeat. So David decimates the army, removes their captain, and so now here is where we are. This is the setup. See, Israel has just fought 2 wars. The second one, David had to handle personally. Now, if that's not exhausting, I don't know what is. Because having personal issues with 2 people can be exhausting. An argument in itself. You're talking about a war where people are dying, there's bloodshed, families being torn apart, and you just have to fight 2 of them back to back. See, one thing that we have to remember is that we're human. And the devil is very aware of how human we are. We get tired, we get weak, and we get worn out. And it's in those exact moments that the devil is preparing to pounce on us. There are no breaks in spiritual warfare. That's why God should be fighting for you. And that's why he says, come to me who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you. And see, there's a real issue that happens when you're trying to carry everything on your own shoulders. You burn out. You tire out. See, you become so hungry to make money, your health is a wreck. You're so eager to pry God's blessings from his hands and take it for yourself that you're perfectly okay breaking yourself down to do it. You want a husband so bad, you're comfortable taking someone else's. You want that promotion so bad, you will go behind your own co-workers to go and get it. You want that luxury life so bad, the car, the money, the flights, that you will get into every single get-rich-quick scheme there is. Not realizing God's blessings are not taken from God. They are given by God. Remember, God wrestled with God. We know what happens when you wrestle with God. God dislocated his hip. So, what does God have to dislocate in you before you stop fighting? What does God have to move out of place before you surrender and say, all right, you know what, Lord, you got it. But let's keep going. See, what we have to remember is it's all these little things. All these little things that set David up into the situation. The fatigue. The wanting things instead of allowing God to give it to me. That impatience. The stirring. These are the things that put David in that mental position to be preyed upon. And not prayer. Preyed upon. And if we can learn and study David, we can identify the setups in our own lives. If you're beyond exhausted, you'll remember, as tired as you are, you know what? Right now, I just don't have it in me today, but that means I need to pray even more. If work is stressing you out, that's when you need to know, I need to pray even more. Because remember, the devil appeared to Christ after 40 days of fasting. Not before. 40 days of not eating, praying all day. There was a pastor that tried that the other day. He made 30 days and died. So Christ was at 40 days. And that's when the devil came at him. When he was at his mental weakness. See, there's something called decision fatigue. And that's why a lot of successful people suggest that anything that you want to do in life, you plan to do it early in the morning. Because that's when you're at your peak, you have all the energy to make the tough decisions. But what happens is at the end of the day, you get tired. And as you get tired, your decision-making becomes sloppy. You even see that example when prisoners try to get parole. They say in the morning, a lot of prisoners tend to have a higher success rate to get parole. And then after lunch, it happens again. After that time, mostly everyone's getting out. Because what happens is as you get tired, you don't trust your decision-making as much, so you just make an easy decision. So what happens is, if I'm fasting for the Lord, and I'm not eating, after 40 days, I'm hungry. I'm not trying to hear anybody tell me, listen, don't touch that piece of meat anymore. I want to eat. That's the easy decision for me. And the devil knows that. And that is exactly when he comes for you. So, it's when work is stressing you out that the devil comes for your marriage. It's when the kids won't stop. All of a sudden, you can't stand the fact that the minister is still preaching. So it's not by coincidence that 2 Samuel 11 starts off with, in the spring, when kings go out to war, David sent Joab, his officers, and all Israel out. 2 Samuel chapter 11 is the chapter in which we are introduced to Bathsheba. That chapter starts with, in the spring, when kings go out to war. So what is David supposed to be doing? Going out to war. And what did he do instead? He sent everybody else. Stop sending people out to do what God called you to do. You will suggest to every single person to be youth director, and yet God has placed it on your heart. You complain about how it's not being directed correctly. You criticize everybody who runs it, and yet you conveniently ignore the fact that it's God who called you to do it. And the problem is when you're not doing what God called you to do, then you're not going to be where you're supposed to be. Amen. And let's see what happens as a result. So David stays, and that very first verse of the chapter says, David stayed in Jerusalem. So that means David was comfortable. And I've been in church before I was even conceived. I was probably born in church, not literally, probably born in church. And if I've learned anything in my mid-short life, I've learned one thing. Comfort is where chaos happens. Yeah. When you get too friendly, that's when you start to talk to your boss and say things you shouldn't say. Yeah. When you get too comfortable, that's when husbands forget that the only woman on this earth you should flirt with is your wife. Right. When kids get too comfortable, that's when grandma has to smack you upside your head and ask you, do you know who you're talking to? Right. See, there's nothing wrong with comfort, but too much of anything is never good. So now you have David who's comfortable. He has other people handling his affairs. He's not where he needs to be. So because he doesn't need to be where he's supposed to be, he has time to be where he's not supposed to be. And so David gets up from his bed. He's tired of being comfortable. He's tired of resting. He's tired of being idle. We all know what the Bible says about being idle, right? Idleness is the devil's playtoy. So he decides to walk on the roof of his house. And from his roof, he sees a woman bathing. Now let's just look at that for a second. Every time we hear this story, we often think David was just minding his business. And then Bathsheba just came out all naked in her glory, just like, hey David, what's going on? I'm Bathsheba, come over here, talk to me, what's up? But that's not what happened. That's not what the Bible says. Bathsheba wasn't the one on the roof. David was the one on the roof. And in fact, Bathsheba was right where she was supposed to be. Because if you read it, it says that she was purifying herself from her uncleanness. All right, for my young brothers out there, that stands for menstruation. So what happens is in Jewish culture, okay, you go through your period of menstruation, and then afterwards you go through 7 days of purifying, where you go into a pool of water and you wash yourself. So Bathsheba wasn't doing anything wrong. See, what happened is that David was where he was not supposed to be in the position he was supposed to be. Assel, what does that mean? It means that because of David's position on the roof, he was able to see things and do things he wouldn't normally be able to do. See, the only way he could be that high is to be king. So as king, I have certain privileges and abilities that no one else has. So with that responsibility, I can do right or I can do wrong. So because of David's position, he was able to see and do things that no normal person would be able to see. So, church, I don't really think you guys are getting it. So let me just change it and change it a little bit. Because of the position that you're in, are you given authority, privilege, and responsibility? And are you able to do things that you wouldn't be able to do in that position? Y'all hear me yet? That's okay. Let me get a little deeper. As a pastor, people are vulnerable with you. And with that vulnerability, you're put in a position to lead them closer to Christ, to show them how God can heal and mend your heart. Amen. However, there are pastors who use their position to have young ladies not just open up emotionally, but physically. They are using their position improperly. God did not give you your position. He did not give you your gift so that you can use and abuse and take advantage of others. God did not make you youth director so you can boss kids around. God did not give you the keys to the church so that anytime people want to rehearse, they have to fight with you for an hour to get the church open. More money in your life should not translate into you being snobbish and flaunting. It should lead to you being a positive impact in your community. Getting married shouldn't be the justification to laugh at all your single friends. It should lead you to sharing the lessons and wisdom that you learn with people striving for the same thing. God's blessings to you should never be the green light to curse or make fun of someone.
Amen.
So here we have David. He's tired. He's exhausted. He's not doing what he's supposed to do. He's too comfortable. He's in an exalted position. And now he's abusing his power. You guys see how this is building up? You see how it's not just as simple as he saw someone, he took her, and that's it. No. This is what led up to it. So David sees Bathsheba baby, and the Bible says that she was very beautiful. Now the Bible doesn't call everybody beautiful. Only a dozen or so. So that means in my mind, Bathsheba had to be a bad. Because if the Bible says that God is good, and we all know God is good, and if the Bible won't call Bathsheba beautiful, you can only imagine what she looked like. And remember something, we always say things like, the devil is always going to tempt you with what you want. Well, it's a little deeper than that. It's not going to be just what you want. The devil's going to tempt you with what everyone else wants too. Because the point is for the devil to elevate your pride and become puffed up. So if you give someone to someone that nobody else wanted, there's nothing to be prideful about. But when I give you something everybody wanted, now you feel like you're better than everybody. See, when I give you that position that everybody was fighting for, that success that everyone was craving, now you feel puffed up. He's going to tempt you with what everyone wants, because when you get it, it swells up your pride and you think that you're better than everyone else. So here we go. David sees her and he gets curious. And he sends someone to find out about it. So David sees Bathsheba. He sends his little homie, hey, yo, go talk to her. So here's a little dating advice. It's okay to send a friend to talk to somebody, as long as they're not married. But if anybody ever says to you, oh, why'd you send your friend to talk to me? You just respond, it's biblical. Is that all right? So the messenger comes back. And the beauty that I love in this message, he says, David's like, yo, go check out Bathsheba for me. And the messenger comes back, he's like, David, I got you. Is not this Bathsheba, daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? Now when we hear that statement, it's like, okay, it was just a basic message. But think about this real quick. Whenever you send someone to find out about somebody, if we saw Barack Obama, and I said, who's that? You say, that's Barack Obama. You wouldn't be like, ain't that Barack Obama? When you are talking like that, it's because either you don't recognize the person or you're really not trying to get the other person to recognize the person. So the message is almost like, what's her name again? Oh, she's really not important, King. Oh yeah, she's Bathsheba. She's so-and-so's child. Oh, by the way, she's Uriah's wife. He says that for the very end. Yeah, her name's Bathsheba. She's someone's wife. See, when you're a servant, you can't really tell a king not to do something because that could be your life. So you have to be a little smart about it. So at the end he says, hey, that's somebody's wife. So David, who's tired, exhausted, not doing what he's supposed to be doing, not where he's supposed to be, he's too comfortable and now he's in an exalted position of using his power, he ignores any sign of advice and keeps digging his hole. This is what we call entrapment. Entrapment is basically, you've gone too far, so it's a little more. I said I would go on a diet of ice cream. I have one little spoon of ice cream. Let me just finish the bowl. It happens to the best of us, right? So we start off with, I see her naked, scoop. Let me get her name, scoop. And the thing about entrapment is that it puts you on something that they call the hedonic treadmill. And that treadmill is basically, you always want more than you have. So what happens is, you win the lottery. But if you look at studies, they say that after you get over the initial thrill of winning the lottery, you go back to whatever state of happiness you were at before. So what happens is you're in a never-ending cycle. You want more, you get more, but you still want more. And it doesn't end until you get off that treadmill and realize Jesus is all that you'll ever need. And it's Him who will supply your needs. Not people, not things, not affairs, not relationships, not great music, not oil. Yes, these things all help, but the root, the substance of all that you need is Jesus. Amen. So David goes from seeing to asking to inviting, and now he's sleeping. And it points out, like I was telling you earlier, she's purifying herself from her uncleanness. The woman was getting herself right, doing what she was supposed to do. And here comes this young stallion around the corner. Amen. People will try to turn you around when you are trying to do the right thing. Amen. People will try and sabotage your relationship with God just so they can get a quick high from you. Amen. Lady, girl, you've been going to church, you've been working out, you've been reading the Bible, you've been at peace, ready to get baptized and change your life to God and move on up. But here comes this guy inviting you to come over. Turn it down. All right. Do not sacrifice your peace for pleasure. Pleasure does not bring peace. But when you are at peace, it will always bring you pleasure. All right. So from here, we all know the story. David sleeps with her, which is not only adultery, but the law stated that any time a man touched a woman during her menstruation, that was worthy of death. David is breaking multiple laws here. He tries to hide it. He tries to get Uriah, a good man of God, to get down and dirty with him. You know that saying that we always hear? Misery loves company? Yeah, so does sin. Sin loves it. The more and more people are involved. So if you have to be the only person holding up the true character of Christ while everybody around you is inviting you to do something you know God doesn't approve of, hold fast and be that one. If it's just that one in Sodom and Gomorrah. David gives Uriah his own death letter to send to Joab. And in my mind, I like to kind of make the Bible as real as possible, so I'm picturing it, and I see Joab reads the letter, and Uriah's in front of him, just delivered this letter, doesn't even know what the letter's in, and Joab's thinking, man, this is like so messed up, like what can I do? Maybe I should tell the king not to do it, but you know what, I need to save my life, so let me just keep quiet. Church, I really suggest and recommend to you today that you absolutely make sure you have people who are willing to fight for your soul, even if it puts their life on the line. Friends who remind you what you have to lose if you move forward. Friends who tell you they cannot remain in your life if you continue with your repulsive behavior. Those are the friends that you need, and that's the type of friend you need to be. You can't allow the people in your life to just start heading down and snowballing, and you just watch them and say, you know what, just to keep my peace, I'm not going to say anything. That ain't Christ-like. We all have to be like the Good Samaritan who, as we go through our travels in life and we see somebody falling, we have the courage to pick them up, even if it means we get a little dirt on our hands. Because how would it feel when we have our struggles in life? Everybody walks us by and judges us. The same compassion that God shows to us, it is our duty, our conviction, to share that same compassion and love with others. Because good friends don't let other friends sin comfortably. David puts Uriah on the front lines. He puts him in a position where it's more than he can handle. Gets Uriah in over his head. Uriah gets killed. But because David wasn't where he was supposed to be, Bathsheba wasn't where she was supposed to be. And now Uriah isn't where he was supposed to be. And that's what happens when we entertain sin. It throws off the path and it throws everything out of whack. Things are now out of place until we humble ourselves before God and beg Him to put things back in order. And that is the definition of sin. To miss the mark. To be off target. See, when we start, I see a lot of times there's a lot of controversy when it comes to young ladies getting pregnant in church. And the first thing that they do is, a lot of churches tend to kick the girl out. But I said this the other day, pregnancy is not a sin. Fornication is. See, When you fornicate, sex is just something that happens between two people. The context in which it happens, it is now what makes it sin. But the baby is just a natural consequence of when two people lay together. When two married people lay together, it leads to pregnancy. I just found out. When two unmarried people lay together, they also have a baby. So it doesn't have to do with anything about if you're serving God, if you're not serving God. You could be the worst kind of person to have a baby and the best person having a baby. So the baby is always a blessing. It can be premature, but it's always a blessing. What you have to understand is that when you start to sin and take your life into your own hands, you now fall out of the timing that God had for you. Maybe it was God's will that you have that baby at 27, but because you decided to get a little frisky at 18, it happened a little sooner than you thought. And now that baby can still be a blessing, but now you have a lot of challenges and burdens you weren't ready for at 18. And you would have been perfect for it at 28. And that's okay because that baby's a blessing. That baby, God can use that baby to do amazing things and even change you. Your mistake was fornicating. So what we have to understand is that anytime we decide to take our own will into our own hands and start stepping off the beaten path, whatever comes upon that path is of our own doing. Amen. It's all right. Church can be quiet. I'm going back there soon. So Uriah dies. Bathsheba is pregnant. God exposes David. God says that the baby's going to die. David fasts for a week, begging God, please, please, don't let the child die. We all do that. We mess up. You know, we fall short, and now the consequence comes. And we're begging God, listen, I was able to enjoy the pleasure of my sin, but I don't want to deal with the consequence of my sin. Please, it was fun, but I don't want the rest that comes with it. Yeah, you know, you told me not to sleep with her. Now I have HIV. Lord, please, I need a healing. Let me get that holy oil, heal me. Because, remember, it's not God who's out here dishing punishments. When you go off that path, you come across things of your own choice, of your own doing. The same way when two people in a married context sleep together, they have a child. It's the same way where when you decide to lay with any which person, whatever they have to give you, you decide to accept it on your own. God can do all he can to try and protect you from the consequences of your actions, but if you don't want to listen, well, it's not God dishing out punishment. It's you going around and taking them. Amen. So, this message came to me because when I come to the Lord, we've all been serving God for quite some time. Some longer than others. Some, this may be new. For some, this may be a little older. But one thing I know is that God never changes. Amen. But the devil never changes either. See, the devil doesn't care that you've been faithful for 30 years. For him, it's more of a victory to knock you down. Because when he knocks you down, it destroys faith in others. So, the Bible says, do not grow weary in well-doing. So that means each day we should be seeking to get a fresh anointing from God. Amen. Each day you should be working to overcome your traumas. Growing each day as a better person, better Christians, developing a better relationship with Christ. Yes, there are days where you're going to be tired and weak and worn, but you have to remember, Jesus is your rest. You can lay on that bed as much as you want to. It's not going to give you half the peace that God can give you. Jesus is your strength, your peace, and your portion. Allow him to fight your battles. Cast aside your worries and your fears. Leave it in his hands. Trust that he never has and he never will forsake you. Amen. Each day, remind yourself of what he's done for you and encourage yourself with what he's going to do for you. Amen. Surround yourself with a community of believers who will fight with you and fight for you. Amen. Who will pray for you even when you don't even feel like praying for yourself. Amen. Heaven. We say all the time our salvation is personal. But I personally believe that heaven is a group project. And what that means is we all need each other. Amen. Because even Christ had 12, knowing one was a hypocrite. And in his last moments, he brought 3 with him. So if God had a support system, Who are we to think that we can go through this world shunning away everyone saying, oh, it's just going to be me and God? That's not even Christ-like.
Amen.
How are you going to share God's love thinking that you can make it through life alone, not needing anyone? The love that God gives to you is meant for you to share to others and others to share with yourself. Amen. There are moments in life where you do not have the strength to pray. Yes. And if you do not have a community of people who says, listen, I know I'm tripping right now, but I'm going to pray for that man even though he can't pray for himself. These are the things that get you by. And church, that's why it's always so important to pray for your pastor. Because while he's praying for you guys, who's praying for him?
Amen. Amen.
He's constantly pouring, but who's pouring into him?
Yes.
Heaven is a group project. Yeah. We all have fallen and fallen short. But there are some mistakes in life we don't need to make. We can learn from others' mistakes. Learn from the Word. I promise you, the Word is enough. I spent this sermon telling you again and again, how did we get here? But whether you've been serving God for a long time or a little, God is asking you, where do we go from here?
Amen.
But Lord, I'm too old. I'm too young. God says, I'm not worried about who you are. Lord, I'm not smart. I don't read. I'm lazy. I can't. I don't care about that. Lord, I'm messed up. I'm a sinner. I'm not churchy. I don't care. Lord, I'm damaged. I'm in pain. God responds to you, I'm not worried. I know all these things about you. Your age doesn't stop my power. Your perception of yourself can't stop my power. Your sin cannot stop my power. Amen. There's no pain in your heart I cannot heal. Amen. The only thing that can stop my power in your life is your rejection. Amen. And if you reject me, I'm not going to force myself upon you. God is in the highest position of all, and he would never use his power to abuse us or to force himself upon us. Yes. So God knows where you are. Amen. He knows where you've been. And today he's looking at you and he's saying, so where are we going? Be blessed.
Amen.